I am not the greatest Sonic player in the world. I have been playing Sonic for a good while now though, and it is possible that you may understand what I'm coming from in this video. Not a review of Sonic 1 covering all its aspects, just talking about the things I care about, and I'll try to use footage from a playthrough of mine to show what I'm talking about as I speak. First, I just want to say I mostly love how classic Sonic controls because of the gameplay it allows. There is the momentum management aspects of platforming that is called for by Sonic's weight. There is backnick bouncing, but the absolute most fun thing to do about Sonic is slope jumping. Particularly moving slope jumps, not the ones where you kind of just stand on a slope, charge up a spin dash, and then immediately jump. Those are fine. But moving slope jumps are much more satisfying because of the timing aspect of it. It's like how the parry mechanic found in a lot of games would not be as interesting or fun without the timing aspect, and why if a game tried to have a parry without that timing aspect, it would get strange looks. Put simply, the skill and precision involved in doing these at higher speeds while moving, timing a jump as you come to a specific point on the terrain's curve, is largely what makes them satisfying. The other half of that is the benefits and just how it feels to do. And I am happy to say that when Sonic 1 allows this gameplay, it is always a good time. A standout, of course, is Spring Yard Act 1's top route. Opportunities to do this aren't just in the speedier levels, they can be in the other levels as well. Or the levels can just have bits of level design or gimmicks that are fun for similar reasons. A side point, I will mention that there are some times where taking advantage of the slopes curves appears to be weirdly discouraged. I would say Sonic 1's biggest issue is particularly its reliance on weighting based obstacles. Being forced to wait for these is kind of boring, and the idea is like you're supposed to time your movements between them as the opportunity becomes available, but they tend to move really slowly, and so the timing windows are usually pretty large, meaning they're not much of an interesting challenge. Though I will say generally that they are pretty brief, and while the game would be better if they weren't here, I honestly don't mind them that much. Sonic 1 itself has an example of how to do this properly, found in Labyrinth Zone of all places. In Act 3, depending on the route you take, you'll encounter 3 swinging spike balls. How fast they swing mean you aren't waiting long, and it also means you have to really be careful about timing your way through them, especially from going from spike ball 2 to 3, as they swing at different speeds and you have to watch out for both of them. Yeah, you do have to stop, but the attention that this section requires means it really isn't boring at all. And there's a later section where the spike balls return, and you have to watch multiple of them at once, and that also isn't boring, for the same reason. This is legitimately good platforming and hazard design. It's design that we don't really see past Sonic 1, and honestly, it's design we don't see enough in Sonic 1 itself, because there are many other sections involving waiting or just generally uninteresting gameplay that really would only be beneficial to remove. I'm going to say something that I don't think many would agree with, and that's that I don't generally care for the actual platforming design of classic Sonic. Generally, the platforms are really large, giving a very large window for error, and the slow speed Sonic must go at sometimes means that controlling Sonic himself midair doesn't really call for a lot of precision or interesting control. There are exceptions, like this one jump here in Marble Zone. It's pretty tight, had to land before the lava fall, and there's enough distance between the platforms to build up momentum that will definitely make it hard to stop in time if you don't manage the momentum with some precision. There are other exceptions as well. Really, Sonic 1 has some platforming and hazard setups that we don't really see much afterwards that honestly were a shame that we lost. Depending on the route you take, there is a section in Marble Zone Act 3 where you have to jump over a caterpillar, but the low ceiling forces a low jump, meaning you must get a running start and then start the jump as close to the caterpillar as you can, so that when your jump gets cut and you fall, you come down on the head rather than on the spikes on his back. Similar situation in Labyrinth Zone Act 1. Low ceiling forces low jumps over spikes that shoot up and down at a relatively quick pace. You have to time your jumps around both factors. In Scrap Brain Hack 1, you have to time your jumps in tandem with the spinning platforms to reach the top. Situations where you need to time when you start a jump with this level of precision are not really found past Sonic 1, at least not outside slope jumps, and that's a shame. One thing that does stick around after Sonic 1, though, is the satisfaction of maintaining flow through platforming, particularly when you have to do inputs in rapid succession or when momentum management is involved. Slowing down to just the right speed to fall under a momentum based obstacle, or to land on a platform early enough to jump early enough to go over the next momentum based obstacle. I don't like Sonic boss fights. A good example why is Marble Zone's boss. His attacks take no effort to dodge. You find yourself just sitting there waiting for Eggman to slowly fly over, and landing jumps into a ship are neither challenging nor interesting. It's boring. That said, there is one boss in Classic Sonic that I do actually like. But the thing is, it's not even a boss, as you don't need to hit Eggman a single time. The end of Labyrinth Zone Act 3 is just a good platforming gauntlet, where you have to time your jumps between periodically extending and retracting spikes, which actually extend and retract at a pretty fast rate. And sometimes there will be a spike both to your right and to your left. You have to position yourself carefully between them so you have enough room to get a running start and jump up to the next platform without hitting either. And there's genuine tension. If you mess up, the water will catch you, making this boss harder. An actual consequence, rather than just simply grabbing a ring and continuing on. I don't like the expression balance of speed and platforming, because to me, balance of speed and platforming implies segregation of speed and platforming. You do speed for a bit, then you do platforming to build up tension, and then you go back to speed to relieve that tension. In situations where this actually describes how Sonic games are designed, the pure speed sections are some of the weakest parts of the gameplay in my opinion, because it's not gameplay. The only example of this philosophy I can think of that I actually like is in Marble Zone Act 2. Basically, the pure speed section is the exact right length, long enough to feel like something you can look forward to flowing into as you complete the previous platforming section, but not so long that it feels like you temporarily stop playing the game. I personally think playing a version of Sonic 1 like Sonic Forever, where you can toggle on things like the drop dash, insta shield, and elemental shields, is a very beneficial thing to do. Things like the insta shield are intrinsically satisfying to use, and when you have them, there are many opportunities in Sonic 1 to use them that benefit the game's pacing. A side thing, I do wish slamming down on things with the bubble shield's bounce refreshed it. And while we're at it, another good quality of life thing would be the ability to skip score tallies. I don't care about scoring these games, as I have little reason to, and I imagine most people who come and play them today don't either. There are weird bits of design in Sonic 1. In Spring Yard, one of the ways they reward investigating and exploring all the level's paths is going out of their way to make unnecessary paths that only make the level worse. There are paths that go to the exact same area, but one of them forces you to confront the moving blocks. And one of these worst paths is a top path you have to go out of your way for, one toward the end of Act 3, which is almost punishing exploration. There is a weird piece of level design in Starlight Act 2, in which the thing it tests you on is not your understanding of the controls or mastery of them, but a meta thing of how the game is designed, how it resets some things when they go off screen. And in Scrap Brain, there is a hazard that is less weird and more so just annoying, fire that comes out of the floor with little warning. Most people aren't looking at the foreground for hazards, as nothing in the game conditions them to. But I don't find Batnik bouncing to be, in itself, satisfying. Outside the memorization aspect of it, where I can't always see what I am bouncing on, I found that in many cases it really doesn't take much for me. I can't help but think of something like Donkey Kong Country, where you have to time the jump input with the bounce in order to get the most height. That small bit of precision is enough to honestly make it feel more satisfying than the Batnik bounce, even if the actual height isn't as great. Though I suppose this is just another reason to have the insta-show in the game, with what precise timing of it allows you to do the spiked hazards. And with that, I conclude my thoughts on Sonic 1, while also talking about Sonic in general as well. Don't expect another video like this.